In this lesson, we're going to be talking about props.
Props will help bring your image to life. Just like with your set and everything else that goes into your image, they're going to communicate something. So it's important to think about what do you want to communicate and what would be essential to have in the scene. When you're choosing props, you could choose props that are very literal, or you could choose props that are more figurative. Literal props would be, for example, if you're shooting a skincare product, maybe you have bathroom items in the scene, or maybe you have the exact ingredients that are in that product. Figurative props would be more symbolic. Like, for example, in our shoot, we're going to be using shapes instead of using ingredients, or instead of using seashells or something like that. We're going to be using shapes that will just convey the waviness of the brand, but also the waviness of the ocean. There's not really a right or a wrong when it comes to using literal or figurative props, and you can even combine the two. You could use some that are more literal and some that are more figurative within the scene, but it's something that you want to think about. Just think about what you want to communicate and what would make the most sense for the specific brand that you're working with.
When looking for props to use in your set, think about the elements of photography that we discussed in Unit 2. Here are some additional questions that you can ask yourself when choosing props.
How do these props relate to the size of the object that we're shooting? Do the colors fit in with the whole color scheme of the shoot? And do all these props look like they belong together?
When thinking about sourcing your props, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can go to your local craft store, thrift stores, and even inside your house.
Sometimes you just have to learn to look at things in a different way. So sometimes we will take a flower pot and flip it upside down, and suddenly it becomes a pedestal. Or we'll do that with shapes that we have like this. This is supposed to be a staircase, but you can flip it this way and suddenly it's a totally different prop. You can also take spray paint and change the color of things, and that will also give it new life. Just make sure that you use a flat or matte spray paint, or cover it with a matte protective coat so that it's not super shiny and glary when you shoot with lights. Some other things to think about when you're styling are to look for tangents. Tangents are areas where two lines get too close together or maybe overlap, and that creates a point of tension within a photo. So you want to make sure that you're looking for those and separating those lines enough, or making sure that things aren't getting cropped awkwardly out of the scene. You'll also want to make sure that things are distributed well and that there is space in the image for the eye to breathe. Sometimes when we're really in close and we're putting all these things in our set, and maybe we are really excited about all the props that we have, we want to use them all, we'll overcrowd a scene. So make sure that you always just take a step back, look at the image as a whole, and maybe just try taking a couple things out and see if the image is stronger without them, because sometimes simple is better. One more thing to think about is to keep your set very clean, because when you're styling, a lot of times things will get messy, and you want to just take a little paintbrush and go through your set before you take the shot, and make sure that while you're styling, you're wearing gloves, wiping things down. Otherwise, you'll have to Photoshop out fingerprints later on, and Arabella always gets on me about that.
It's true. In the next lesson, we'll talk about how to build your photo kit and the tools that you'll need to execute your shoot.